The biggest podcast misfire in sports media history. They had no idea what podcasting was. Sometimes you got to sacrifice money to get rid of clowns. And they missed a major opportunity to dominate the podcasting space. Cost themselves $1 billion. Is it built to last? I don't know. Hey, welcome. I'm not just playing when I say it. Best team I've ever been on right here. I mean, the dudes, we had a little internet problem last night at my house that rages on. Hey, we got on a group chat. Next thing you know, Gary and Aaron and Dylan and I don't know everybody, but Chuck was the star. Chuck got her done, and next thing you know, here we are from the beautiful, beautiful studios located right on Geist Reservoir in Indianapolis, Indiana, where the weather is beautiful today, and so are the people. All right. I don't know if this is true or not, but this does maybe sort of make a little sense, I guess. Good for ESPN. No, good for ESPN. Sometimes you got to sacrifice money to get rid of clowns. Now, ever since I left ESPN and came over to OutKick, ESPN has been in a free fall. Somebody could say that I'm the moral compass of ESPN. You know the story. Stephanie Drewley famously called me when I was in a hassle. Well, the women of ESPN are upset with you, Dan. I said, yeah, the women of ESPN, your college football writer, married with 2 kids, is having an affair with the Indy Star writer, Greg Doyle, married with 2 kids. I don't want to hear about the women of ESPN. They're kind of dirtbags. If you want me to go farther, Stephanie, I can if you would like. She shut up. Eventually, I left. Others left. I started a trend. All right, the worldwide leader in sports, unless, of course, we're talking about leader, not much leadership in that organization. They're kind of the worldwide DEI judgment, woke left in sports. But anyway, apparently their podcasting has gone to hell. See, back Seth Greenberg and I had a podcast, and it was pretty popular among college basketball fans, but they didn't know how to do podcasting. We had some DEI hired lady who literally did not know her ass from third base. Wait, is that my ass or is that third base? I don't know. It was literal. On the latest edition on how to light $1 billion on fire, let's look at ESPN's grand plan to dominate the podcast world. A plan so brilliant, it cost them credibility, it cost them billions, and it drove away some of their best talent, like Colin Cowherd, like Dan Dakich, like Bill Simmons. You know, I've learned about podcasting through this show. This show, our podcasting is sensational. The graphics, the entertainment, the add-ons to what it is that we're talking about are fantastic. None of that existed over at ESPN because ESPN was too worried at the time about appeasing, not producing. And they still are. But anyway, it's annoying. It is annoying, but Pablo Torre did recently pull back the curtain on what might be the biggest podcast misfire in sports media history. Here's Pablo Torre talking about a variety of people that left ESPN. Now, most of them are his cool kids, but when you add Bill Simmons, who was a complete douchebag when he was there on set, and Colin Cowherd, who's one of my all-time favorites, I get excited and I want to talk about it. Here's Torre.
The last sort of like observation around the economy of ESPN, which is really an observation around the economy of sports media, is this. ESPN also is operating at such a level of billions and billions of dollars in TV rights deals, like the most valuable properties in sports and television, that when it comes to, you mentioned Zach Lowe, who is, you know, the greatest at NBA podcasting.
He's the GOAT, the NBA podcasting GOAT.
So if you think about Zach and Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo and Dan Le Batard and Colin Cowherd, and throw me in there somewhere in the rotation if you want. But just like down the list, right? So that's Meadowlark, that's The Ringer, that's The Volume, that's some other stuff that's emerging. If you were to collect all of those guys and just do the math on that, ESPN legitimately let over $1 billion walk out the door. Now, they missed, I would argue, the future of sports podcasting that was already in-house, but the economics of why they let it go was because it was still fractional compared to their actual interests. And so everything that I think about investigative journalism, once you see it through the lens of like podcasting, you're like, well, that was a deliberate, and maybe it was uninformed, but I would say it's still a mathematically justifiable choice about what their business really.
Yeah, but they had no idea what podcasting was. They really didn't. They missed a major opportunity to dominate the podcasting space. I remember talking to this woman, I forget her name, but I'm like, man, you guys just put us in a corner. Don't you know podcasting is going to be the thing? Don't you know that video and podcasting, now the ESPN does a pretty good job with the video, but if you look particularly at Seth and mine podcast, which was wildly popular among coaches and players and college basketball community, but it was very entertaining. They put it on a little line over here, and I remember going, what are you people doing? Anyway, going back to the 2010s, ESPN already had a strong lineup of podcast talent, but didn't give them the creative freedom or long-term investment needed to build successful, independent audio brands. They were terrible at it. It was like they threw a bunch of people that needed jobs at ESPN over here and said, okay. Instead, ESPN's leadership treated podcasts as side projects or content to repurpose from other formats. That's what they did with us. Just kind of repurposed it. Ours was entertaining. I mean, Seth and I would argue, we would offend, and I'm not just talking about ours. There were plenty of others. It was pretty amazing. The only thing we ever did to promote the podcast world was take a picture with a basketball. Anyway, they did not build independent audio brands. Now, some may say, well, ESPN's doing just fine, and they are, as long as ESPN has gains. But to Torre's point, they missed out on billions and billions of dollars, which frankly might have saved a lot of people's jobs. They treated it as side projects. They did. They treated it very lowly. And I remember, even though I don't know jack squat about the landscape of any of this, I just show up and do my job and hope I'm around a good team. But I've learned through my team that, boy, oh boy, this can be fun, this can be interesting, this can be profitable. He referred to, Torre did, specifically as a billion-dollar mistake, saying that ESPN could have owned the podcasting space in sports, but let that potential slip away. Now you see all of these guys going into their own podcasting space. You do. You see Colin Cowherd's podcasting is exploding. Yeah, I don't know about Meadowlark because the people over there are such douchebags, starting with John Skipper through Lebitard. But hey, it must be doing something right because those guys are eating. Fat Dan continues to be Fat Dan. He's not gotten to be skinnier Dan. Anyway, the network prioritized short-term metrics and control over neuter talent and innovation. They did. Well, you can't talk about this. I said, look, this is a podcasting space. It should be freewheeling. It should be fun. It shouldn't be, you can't. Well, shut up. A decision that led to key voices leaving for more flexible, profitable opportunities elsewhere. Now, I cannot stand Torre being right about this. Actually, it doesn't really matter to me. I don't know him. I've really never paid attention to him. I know basically whatever he does fails, along with Bomani Jones. But Torre was among the cool kids at ESPN that were such douchebags because they were insecure. But you got to give him credit. He's made a comeback. He talked about the NFL suppressing things, and he turned out to be right. He talked about now podcasting, and he is absolutely right. Even a person that would disagree with Pablo Torre because it's Pablo Torre and all those people over there on the left that he mentioned, with the possible exception of Cowherd, are complete douchebags, you got to give him credit. He understands the podcast space. I would argue, and I was thinking about this getting ready for the show, I would wonder this, though. People were give in $100 million contracts like New Heights, the show with the Kelsey brothers. That seems to have gone away a bit. Before he got shit canned for being a pig, Shannon Sharp was allegedly getting ready to sign on the dotted line another one of those $100 million type podcast deals. What if that's worth it? I get it. You saw talent leave. I get it. The companies of Simmons, the companies of Meadowlark, I suppose, with Lebitard, and of course, Cowherd seem to be adding talent, but are they making money? Are these deals worth it? It feels like in the short term, New Heights, I'm going to use specifically, seem like good idea. very popular. The Kelsey brothers, yay rah. You know what? Taylor Swift involved. Put it through the moon. But is it really worth it? Are people still watching those? I didn't put the numbers in front of me. But here's why I say that. I say this all the time. Even though you all think of me as an old man, I, for whatever the reason, have a tendency to feel the pulse of what's happening. Today, first time, long time, I saw something about the Kelsey's podcast. And I thought to myself, boy, I sure haven't seen anything on my X or in any social media space about the Kelsey's New Heights podcast. That's weird because back, 6, 8, 10 months ago, that's all I saw. Now, they may be killing it. And if they're not killing it, put Taylor Swift on and you will kill it. But having said that, $100 million is for a deal, not for a year. It's for extended. What's the shelf life? See, what I like about OutKick is we are built for the long haul because we stand for truth and we stand on the right side of things. We give you the perfect combination of news, sports news in our show, pop culture because, well, we're hip like that, and, of course, politics because we're unafraid to speak truth. We don't give in. We don't worry about the mob coming at us. So that's built for speed. That's built to last. Are some of these podcasts built to last? Don't know. Cowherd is gathering a pretty good stable of talent. And so are these others, I suppose. They have a lot of followers on X. But is it built to last? I don't know. But I do know this. Pablo Torre is not wrong. As someone that had a podcast, and a very popular one, in the college basketball space on ESPN, zero was done to enhance it. Zero was done to help it. Nothing. Nada. Hey, show up on Tuesday. Can you guys get a coach to come in? Yeah, we can get a coach to come in. Talk to him. Say some stuff. We're done. That's not the way it should go. Not even a little. And ESPN did miss out on the boat. Hey, how do you not enjoy this every single day? Seriously, just want to say thank you for being here every day. When I went to the concert the other day, the Rod Stewart concert, it always amazes me how many people come up to me. A lot want to talk about Indiana basketball, but wow. So many wanted to talk about Don't At Me. So many wanted to talk about our stance on things and thank us for having a voice in a crazy-ass world of DEI. Insane women going like this, yelling and screaming, and fake, I don't know what you call them, pastors, I guess, preaching racist rhetoric. We're a voice in the wind, and we thank you for being here. Head on over to youtube.com/@OutKick/videos. Got up 1.75 million of you already have. If you're catching this show for the first time, go over there and subscribe. You got Hot Mike right after me. You got Clay coming up. Then you got Ricky. Then, of course, you got, all kind of things like Tommy. You got Riley Gaines. You got Tyrese. It's great stuff. It's the best channel ever. And we thank you for watching. All right. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Friend of the show, Josh Pate, believes another friend of the show, Jon Gruden, will eventually return to the sideline as a head coach. That's right. As a head coach. All right, here is our friend Josh Pate talking about Jon Gruden.
What is it that it takes to win in college football that Jon Gruden lacks? If you doubt him, if you think if he gets hired it'll be a joke, what is it that it takes to win that he lacks? Because I'm going to tell you what I think it takes to win. I think you've got to be able to hire. I think you've got to be able to acquire talent. In the NFL, that means drafting and free agency. In college football, that means recruiting and portal and free agency. Can you develop players? In college football, especially this next bullet point, are you flexible? Can you roll with the changes? Because that has been eternal lately in this sport. And most importantly, once you get past all that, do you ignite a fan base? I got my doubts about whether Belichick will work out at UNC, but you better believe he ignited that fan base. You're looking for different revenue streams these days. It matters more these days. Do you understand the dynamics? If you're sitting there in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Jon Gruden is announced as your new head coach, You think Cal did something for basketball juice in Northwest Arkansas? Imagine what hiring Jon Gruden does. I'm asking you, I'm really asking you, what is it that it takes to win in college football that he doesn't bring to the table? Because I think he'd surround himself with an excellent staff. I think folks would want to coach with Jon Gruden. I guarantee you, I know about 90% of the fan bases in the country would be very open to Jon Gruden becoming their coach. And the 10% who wouldn't be open to it have great head coaches already, so they don't need it. Which jobs would he take is the question. To me, Jon Gruden's going to get a head coaching job, okay? I'm putting that out there. I think Jon Gruden's going to be a college football head coach. It's not about which programs would offer him the job. There are a bunch of them out there who will offer him the job, I believe. The question is, which programs would Jon Gruden be open to taking the job at?
Got to tell you, he had a victory yesterday as well. The Nevada Supreme Court for Jon Gruden has ruled in favor of Gruden in his appeal against the NFL. Remember back in the day, they had those leaked emails. According to Don Van Natta Jr., that means Gruden will get discovery, present his evidence, and get his day in court alleging that Commissioner Roger Goodell and the NFL improperly leaked his emails leading to his firing. Here's what Gruden's attorney had to say. We're very pleased at the Nevada Supreme Court's decision. This victory further vindicates Coach Gruden's reputation, and it clears the way to swiftly bringing him full justice and holding the league accountable. Unconscionable is what majority Nevada Supreme Court label on, here's what it says. Unconscionable, majority Nevada Supreme Court label on NFL's decision to force Gruden's appeal of his firing into arbitration unseen by Roger Goodell. It was a 5-2 opinion. It was a 5-2 opinion. Now, the NFL can appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. Yeah. We'll see what happens, but I dig in Gruden. I was texting him last night. I said, yo, man, congratulations. You sent me a heart with a football. I love football, Gruden says. I want to be his get-back coach, but I don't think they have get-back coaches anymore. I always wanted to be Urban's get-back coach. You know the guy, there's wires. Hey, everybody get back. Always wanted to do that. I could be good at that. I really, really would. But anyway, I hope Jon Gruden finds a job. Man, that guy Sam Pittman in Arkansas, Josh Pate's already talking. We're going to talk to Trey Wallace about it. We're already talking about Arkansas, his job. And he hasn't even played a game this season. I don't know, Mississippi State, maybe LSU. Who knows? He's talked about coaching in the SEC, but I don't know, man. I can't imagine he wouldn't coach in the Big Ten. I can't imagine he wouldn't want to coach in the ACC or the Big 12. I don't know. It's fun stuff. Speaking of coaches, former Florida State national champ and Texas A&M somewhat flop, Jimbo Fisher. He's hoping one day to return to the sidelines, claiming he's got a lot to give. See, here's the deal. I say this all the time. When you are a head coach, even as a head coach at Bowling Green, it's like being king, man. Make your own schedule, do your own thing. When you're an assistant, it's a pain in the ass. But when you're the HMFIC, hey, man, guess what? You're king. And in football, you're really the king. You know, I famously asked Urban one time, Urban Meyer, what do you miss, man? He's like, you know, Dan, the one thing I miss, and we talk about it all the time, is winning. And then we started laughing. I go, being treated as a head coach ain't bad. He goes, oh, no. I also miss being treated like the head coach of Ohio State football. Private planes. I remember we played golf one time. He was coming to Indy. He flies into a private plane on a little airport. I pick him up, and away we go. No. Here's what Jimbo Fisher had to say. I'm 59, in great shape and healthy. I've had success everywhere we've ever been. The end at Texas A&M, it's unfortunate, but we also had the highest-ranked team they've ever had there in 2020. Our quarterback got hurt. We played with first team, third team. It was hard to get play calling and guys around. Didn't pan out like we needed to, but I still love it, Jimbo Fisher said. Being able to coach, I would. I've won 72% of my games, 80% of my playoff games. Been fortunate to win a national championship as a head coach and an assistant. I missed a relationship with the players. I'd be very interested in still doing it. I still think I've got a lot to give. I'd like to get back out there. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Look, sometimes I feel the same way. I lost my 3 best players. I did. 5 of my 10 years at Bowling Green, my 2 best 7 of my 10 years still had a winning record, won a championship. They hadn't won one in 15 years. When I left, I told them, I go, I'm leaving you a laid-down championship NCAA team here. And they did. They didn't get the NCAA, but they won the league. Anyway, I get it. You always want to be competitive. You always want to get rock and rolling, shaking and baking. Dan, here's the question I posed to myself. If I were at Arkansas, Mississippi State, or an SEC school, would you rather have Gruden or Jimbo Fisher as the head coach? That's a really interesting question. I don't want to touch Jimbo Fisher. I don't. And I don't really know why. I don't. He seems like he's a pain in the ass. Seems like he's that old school football coach that hates every other sport, is really into himself. Next time you talk to a former head coach that coached football or even basketball, do this. See if they're listening. See if they're listening to anything you are saying and see how much they talk about themselves. Now, Jimbo Fisher seems to me to be the guy that can't not talk about himself. It's about him, me, I. I don't feel that way about Gruden. I feel like Gruden's been humbled. I feel like Jon Gruden, think about it. He had this great job at ESPN where people loved him. Gets into professional football, makes more money than God, kind of ignites the thing. It doesn't go great. And then he gets shit canned. Then nobody will hire him, including ESPN, back in his former job. Now, that's humbling. It's humbling for all of us. I'm reading the Bible, and humbling is good. So I'd take Gruden. I think Gruden has the opportunity to, because he's humbled, because he studies it like nobody else, he has the FCAA, or Fired Coaches Association, FCA. I think he'd be a great choice. I think, as Josh Pate said, he'd ignite the fan base. If Jimbo Fisher came here, like when they hired Cignetti here, a lot of people said Jimbo Fisher. I said, that wouldn't excite anybody. Should, but it wouldn't. Anyway. All right. Are you tired, and we're going to be, of having to pay hundreds of dollars to multiple streaming services just to watch your favorite games? I did a thing the other day on how much it's actually going to cost to watch every NFL game available. Friend of the show, Congressman Jim Jordan, is trying to change that. Representative Jordan is challenging the foundation of televised sports in America. Interesting. Calling on league commissioners to brief Congress about a law that shapes how fans watch and pay for their favorite games. Jordan sent a letter to NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred, NBA Commish Adam Silver, and NHL Commish Gary Bettman. OutKick has learned in the letters, Jordan asked the 4 commissioners to come to Washington, D.C. to discuss potential changes to the Sports Broadcasting Act, which was originally enacted in 1961 to allow the major sports leagues to pull their broadcasting rights, sell them without violating antitrust laws. The SBA allows leagues to collectively sell TV rights without running afoul of antitrust laws, something that would normally be illegal in most situations. According to Jordan, the act is outdated given the proliferation of streaming and other avenues to which leagues can sell their broadcast rights. This shift has made it increasingly expensive for you and me. It has. And complicated for fans to access live sports. Imagine somebody living on a farm. Imagine that. You're living on a farm. And I had this. In 2008, when I was the head coach at Indiana for a minute, I would get letters, and I answered all the letters. And the letters, 75 to 80% of them were all bitching about the Big Ten Network. I live in rural Indiana. I'm used to getting Channel 4, Indiana and Purdue games. What is this Big Ten Network? Why am I having to pay for them? I always got them for free. Imagine now You're a Colts fan, but you can't get half the Colts games because they're on different channels. It's crazy. It's crazy. It is exactly crazy. The shift has made it increasingly expensive and complicated to access live sports, who now have to shell out, we do, hundreds if not thousands of dollars to watch various sports leagues. Here's Jim Jordan.
Your committee has sent letters to the heads of the NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the NBA going after blackouts on television. What are you working on there?
Yeah, the whole system now is really complicated for sports fans, and frankly, it's really expensive if you want to watch your team play their games. You know, some people want to buy the package and watch, but this all stems from the 1961 Broadcasting Act, which gave an antitrust exemption to the major sports leagues. We understand that, but we're not in just the broadcast world anymore. We got streaming, we got all kinds of things, cable, streaming, you name it, we have it. So we just want to talk to these folks, and it's a concern we have. We've got concerns with college sports. It's a slightly different thing there. We're trying to work on that. Americans love sports. They love to watch their team, their college, their pro team. So we just want to talk with these major league or these professional sports leagues and see what's exactly going on.
Yeah, according to OutKick Review, listen to this. An NFL fan who wants to watch every nationally broadcast game would have to shell out $111.94 per month, or $671.64 from the start of the season in September through the Super Bowl in February. That's not including the Sunday ticket. Add in that option, and the consumer is looking at another $80 per month or $480 for the entire season. That's over $1,000 to watch the NFL. That is a major problem. And I've told you this before. Don't think for a second. See how this has slowly crept in? Hey, we're having a Thursday night game. Hey, one of the wild card games. Hey, here comes Netflix. This has slowly creeped in. And don't think for a second that sooner than later, within the next 5 years, maybe 3, pay-per-view playoff, pay-per-view world or a Super Bowl. Don't think for a second that's not coming. How can it not? I mean, NFL rules the roost, and we are willing to pay. I just read the numbers to you. Danny Z has a great article on. I literally just read the numbers. I mean, let's be honest. If you don't think that's coming, you're not paying attention. This is where this is important. See, we see these things and our eyes glaze over. My eyes do. Antitrust, Congress, commissioners. My eyes do. They glaze over. I legitimately don't care, for lack of a better way to put. I don't know what the hell you talking about. Why would I give a rat? But then all of a sudden, wait, hold on. It's going to cost me this much to watch my team? No, it's not. I can just turn on CBS or Fox. Wait a second. What about that Thursday? What about that Monday? What about that random game on one? No. Then all of a sudden when the playoffs hit and you can't get them, you're going to bitch, whine, and moan. I hope Jim Jordan can get something done. I really do, because I think it's important. Davey, what do you think here? You think there's anything possible that can be done? Or do you think this is just, hey, man, sit back, relax, and take it?
Dan, it's definitely possible if they're able to make adjustments to the Sports Broadcasting Act. Now, them actually coming through and getting something done there, I'm more skeptical about happening. But there's definitely a path to potentially reducing the amount everybody's having to pay to just watch their favorite teams, their favorite leagues across all of major sports.
Yeah, I'm anxious because we hear these committees. We actually had Ted Cruz on our show way back, and he was talking about getting rid of all of the exorbitant fees of concerts, Ticketmaster, those type operations, and I haven't seen shit done. We hear about them. We hear this grandstanding. We see the video of guys grilling commissioners, and it's great. We go, yay, rock, go fight, win. But we don't see any action. We don't see anything that actually affects us in the pocketbook. So I don't think jack shit's going to happen. I really don't. I go to all these videos, and they're great. I mean, that Josh Hawley and Kennedy, the Senator Kennedy, man, they grill people. But I don't ever see anything changing, Davey. I don't. I just think it's great theater. Yay, rah. Nothing's changed.
Dan,
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, you go back 20 years ago, everybody was talking about, I don't want to pay for every single cable channel I'm getting in this bundle. And, they would group all these channels together. But then once streaming hit, everything started to separate. And you're starting to see now, Fox, ESPN, they're going to be partnering to where they can bundle their new streaming service coming out later this fall. And it just kind of goes back to we end up moving back towards that entire idea of bundling like we saw with cable.
That's right. No, that's exactly right. And I don't know nothing about it. And I know what I don't know. I always do. I know what I don't know. But one thing I think I know is it ain't going to be good for us. Like, we're not going to save money as they go to bundling. We're just not. And I don't know. I go back to 2008, head coach at Indiana. I'm getting all this mail. I'm like, wow. And 80% of it was from people all across the state not understanding the Big Ten. So it is different. They didn't understand the Big Ten Network, didn't understand why their games weren't on Channel 4. Okay. But this is the same thing. All of a sudden, people are like, whoa, wait, what? I got to get what? To watch 1 game, 2 games, 3 games? That don't make no damn sense. Woke gas bag Mike Florio, he felt the need to take issue with the NFL league-wide memo sent out to teams in an effort to beef up security in the wake of the tragic shooting that occurred a couple weeks ago at the NFL's headquarters in downtown Manhattan. Listen to this from Florio. The memo, let's go through this first obtained by The Athletic, and portions of it were reviewed by OutKick, outlines guidance on key suggestions to prevent a mass shooter from attacking any of the league's team facilities, particularly at this time of year when clubs open some of their practices to sometimes thousands of fans. I know here in Indy, up at Grand Park, man, that place is packed. You get a night practice up there, hey, there are people in there, out, tailgate. It's crazy. So there was a sniper at a preseason game with the Panthers. The protocol includes the presence of armed officers at team and league facilities whenever players or staff members are present. Good, there's a sniper. Weapon screening for anyone entering into a team or league facility, including the use of walk-through and X-ray scanners for bags, similar to the process for obtaining entry into stadiums prior to games. Makes sense to me. Like, what are you talking about? Here's this dumbass Florio. None of the proposed measures suggested by the league have kept a man with an AR-15 style rifle from wreaking havoc on any team or league facility. Okay, but I would argue a good guy with a gun far better than a bad guy with a gun, and a good guy with a gun, the only thing that's going to take down a bad guy with a gun. I don't know how you could possibly go against this. I really don't, but I get it. Florio and others have just got a bitch. We're all gun advocates, all right. But the building where the attack happened had armed officers, but they were outgunned. That's the problem. Civilians have access to stronger and better guns than police officers. No, they don't. No, they don't. They can get them. We know it's a political issue, and even if it shouldn't be, the right to bear arms doesn't include the right to bear overwhelming weaponry. Well, all right, so what do you want them to do? That's my question. So what would you like them to do, Mike? You want them to do nothing? I get it. You want every law changed, but obviously New York has the most stringent laws, among the most stringent laws in the country, and a bad guy with a gun still found a way to walk right through Manhattan, go into offices, and start firing. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe our citizens should wake the fuck up, and when you see a guy with a long rifle walking down the middle of the street, call the cops instead of videotaping him for clicks and likes. So what are you supposed to do? So right now, this moment, in the aftermath, what, you're supposed to wait for laws to change and say, well, we can't have an armed guard because an armed guard got shot. I wouldn't want the job as the armed guard. So what is the answer, Mike? I mean, I'll hang up and listen, but we've seen time and time again a good guy with a gun is the only thing that stopped the bad guy with a gun. I mean, in this one instance, it didn't stop him, but maybe in the rest of these instances it does. Or maybe it deters him. I don't know, but what's the answer? Wait on legislation? Bitch, whine, and moan because you're a liberal that doesn't want guns? I mean, what's the answer, Mike, a lawyer? Mike's one of those people who doesn't agree with the entirety of the Constitution of the United States. He sees the Second Amendment as a problem, and that's fine. That's great. Everybody has the right to feel however they want about the Constitution or whatever. But what's your answer? I mean, that's my question. It's simple. What is your answer? Well, get rid of all guns. Well, that ain't going to happen today. That ain't going to happen tomorrow. I mean, what's the answer? There is no answer other than to arm people and protect your property. That's the answer. I go back to Black Lives Matter. And a lot of people criticize Crown Point, Indiana. Crown Point, Indiana had heard that Black Lives Matter, these idiots, were going to come through town. So you know what the good old boys did at Crown Point, Indiana, which, by the way, is a very diverse community? They got their guns, and they stood right where the fellas were walking. And you know what the Black Lives Matter folk did? They kept on walking. Same thing happened in Ottawa Lakes, Michigan. Word on the street, the fellas, the Black Lives Matter, were coming up. They were going to get after a couple of gun stores, ammo stores. You know what the fellas did? Surrounded the store with all their guns. You know what the little cowards did from Cincinnati? Turned their ass back around. I don't know what to tell you, Mike Florio, but you don't have an answer. The answer is not to wait on legislation or to bitch, whine, and moan. The answer for the NFL is to do exactly what it's doing. Protect yourself. Protect yourself, protect yourself, protect yourself at all effing costs. Protect your damn self. I got a lot to get into here. I do. I got a Bravo TV star from the past telling all of us Trump guys to take our fat asses to Cracker Barrel. We'll get into that. But first, when we come back, Trey Wallace is going to join us. We're going to talk about Jon Gruden. We're going to talk about all these things. See who's up next.